You feel it, don't you? That shift in the air, that quiet unease hiding behind people's smiles. Something's moving, something big, and most of them don't even see it coming. The balance is changing. The comfortable are getting nervous, and the hungry are getting ready. The rich transfer has begun. Not the one they talk about in headlines, not the shiny version they sell you with suits and graphs. No, this one's raw. It's silent. It's happening in the shadows. In the minds of people who've had enough of waiting for permission. The hungry always replace the comfortable. It's a pattern as old as time. The moment someone gets too comfortable sitting on their throne, someone else starts climbing the walls to take it. Comfort breeds blindness. It makes people slow, predictable, lazy. They start mistaking privilege for power, status for security, and they stop evolving. That's when hunger enters the room. The kind of hunger that doesn't ask for opportunity. It creates one. The kind that doesn't care about who's at the top, because it's already digging beneath their foundation. Comfort is the real disease of the powerful. Once people think they've made it, they stop moving. They live on autopilot, guarding what they've built instead of expanding what they can become. But hunger, that's different. Hunger doesn't sleep. It doesn't relax. It doesn't celebrate too long. Hunger studies, waits, and strikes when no one's paying attention. And when it does, the comfortable don't even see it coming. Because they've been too busy enjoying the view from their illusion of safety. The hungry live differently. They see opportunity in chaos, value in rejection, fuel in every failure, while the comfortable are debating whether to act. The hungry already have. They move fast, take risks, make mistakes, learn, and go again. Because hunger isn't afraid to fall. It's terrified of staying the same. Comfort builds castles, hunger builds empires. And empires don't rise from stability. They rise from discomfort, from fire, from that restless desire to prove there's more to take, more to build, more to become. Every generation has this shift, the quiet rise of the ones nobody saw coming. The ones too broke to be noticed, too underestimated to be feared. But hunger changes everything. It teaches you how to think like a survivor, not a spectator. It gives you an edge that comfort can't replicate. When you've had nothing, you learn how to make something out of anything. You learn how to move when no one believes in you. And that's dangerous, because there's nothing more powerful than someone who's had to earn every inch they stand on. Comfortable people chase maintenance. Hungry people chase momentum. One's goal is to stay secure, the other's is to stay alive. That's why the hungry never stop, because they know what it feels like to go without. They've tasted scarcity, and that taste never really leaves. It becomes a reminder, a drive, a haunting whisper that says, "Don't you dare get soft." The comfortable, though, they forget. They forget the grind, the late nights, the hunger pains. They trade discipline for indulgence, progress for pleasure, and before they know it, the very thing they once fought for slips out of their hands. You can spot the hungry in any room. Their eyes move differently. They're not distracted by comfort, by gossip, by recognition. They're studying everything, learning from everyone, calculating their next move. They don't envy the rich, they analyze them. They don't wish for success. They reverse engineer it. They don't ask for a seat at the table, they build their own. And when the comfortable finally realize what's happening, it's already too late. The transfer has already begun. Comfort makes people predictable. Predictable people are easy to replace. Hunger makes people dangerous, unpredictable, relentless. That's why the hungry rise. They have nothing to lose and everything to prove. They're not afraid of looking desperate, because they are desperate. Desperate to change, to win, to rewrite their story. And desperation, when focused, becomes unstoppable energy. You can't compete with someone who's fighting for survival when you're fighting for comfort. The truth is, the comfortable always underestimate the hungry because they measure them by status, not by spirit. They think hunger looks weak, but hunger is just discipline wearing scars. They think desperation is messy, but desperation is evolution in motion. Every great story of success begins with someone who was starving for something more. Respect, freedom, redemption. That hunger becomes their weapon, their compass, their fire. It pushes them past rejection, past exhaustion, past logic. The rich transfer isn't just about money moving. It's power changing hands. The ones who used to wait for opportunities are now creating them. The ones who were once overlooked are now leading. The ones who were quiet are now building entire movements. All because they refuse to settle. That's the difference. The comfortable talk about ideas, the hungry act on them. The comfortable dream about someday, the hungry build it today. The world doesn't care who's been at the top. It cares who's willing to climb now. And climbing takes hunger, the kind of hunger that doesn't quit after one setback, the kind that doesn't flinch at rejection or failure. Because hunger doesn't die when things go wrong. It grows stronger. It remembers why it started. It adapts, evolves, and strikes again. That's why the hungry always replace the comfortable. Because comfort dulls the senses, numbs ambition, and kills the drive to grow. Hunger sharpens, focuses, electrifies. It turns ordinary people into threats, into visionaries, into revolutionaries. Comfort builds walls to protect what it has. Hunger breaks them down to take what it deserves. The transfer has already started, and it's the hungry, not the comfortable, who are claiming what's next. Wealth follows energy, not excuses. Money doesn't chase talkers. It doesn't care about potential, promises, or plans that never leave the notebook. It moves toward action, toward momentum, toward people who make noise through results, not words. The universe has a strange rule. It rewards motion. You stay still, you lose. You move, even if you stumble, and it starts shifting things in your favor. Because wealth is alive. It flows where energy flows, and it abandons where stagnation lives. People love to complain about luck, timing, the economy, the system, all the things outside their control. But excuses are just energy leaks. Every second spent justifying failure could have been spent creating something that would have changed it. Excuses drain power, effort creates it. The ones who move, who try, who refuse to stop, they attract the flow, because energy recognizes energy. You don't need to be perfect to win, just persistent enough to stay in motion. There's a reason why some people with less talent, fewer connections, and smaller chances end up outrunning those with all the advantages. It's energy. They move differently. They don't wait for permission. They don't overthink every detail. They start where they are, with what they have, and make it count. The rich, the truly rich, not just in money but in mind, understand this. They treat energy like currency. They protect it, invest it, multiply it. While everyone else spends their energy on fear, doubt, and gossip, they channel theirs into creation, into learning, into risk. Excuses are comfortable lies that keep you safe and small. They sound reasonable, they sound logical, they sound smart, but they steal your fire. Every "I can't" becomes a wall between you and what's already waiting for you. Wealth doesn't respect comfort. It doesn't move toward the timid. It follows conviction. It follows effort. It follows those who dare to act even when they don't feel ready. Because energy creates attraction, and excuses repel it. You can talk about goals all day, but if your energy doesn't match your words, the world doesn't listen. You say you want success, but your habits whisper otherwise. You say you want freedom, but your effort still looks like fear. Wealth doesn't move toward what you say, it moves toward what you do. The truth is, you don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you're willing to move for. And movement, no matter how small, always beats intention. People forget that money isn't paper, it's energy. It's a reflection of movement, of impact, of value exchanged. The reason some people seem to attract wealth isn't luck, it's alignment. Their energy, their focus, their action, all pointed in one direction. No leaks, no distractions, no excuses. Meanwhile, others scatter their energy everywhere, complaining, comparing, waiting, and then they wonder why nothing sticks. Because energy, like wealth, needs direction. It doesn't stay where it's wasted. You can feel when someone has that energy, that presence that says, "I'm not waiting." They walk into a room differently. They speak differently. They make people believe in them. Not because of what they say, but because of how they move. That's magnetic energy. That's the kind that money follows. It's not arrogance. It's clarity. It's that electric sense of purpose that doesn't need approval to exist. You can't fake that. You earn it through repetition, failure, and relentless consistency. Excuses are the enemy of that energy. Every excuse you make robs you of movement. It takes your drive, your curiosity, your fire, and replaces it with self-pity. And self-pity doesn't attract wealth. It attracts stagnation. Because wealth isn't drawn to need. It's drawn to creation. The ones who win are the ones who keep building, even when it looks pointless. The ones who show up again after no one claps. The ones who stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Watch me." There's a quiet truth people don't like to admit. You can't fool energy. You can pretend to work, pretend to care, pretend to hustle, but the results don't lie. Energy is honest. It gives back exactly what you give it. That's why some people seem to luck their way into success. Because behind that luck was consistent energy, focused on movement instead of excuses. When you realize wealth follows energy, you stop waiting for signs. You stop overanalyzing timing. You just start. Messy, uncertain, imperfect. Because momentum is stronger than motivation. You might not have all the answers, but the act of moving creates them. The world doesn't open for those who wait. It opens for those who walk. Energy is contagious. When you're in motion, people feel it. Opportunities notice it. Doors that were locked start to shift. Because everything around you is responding to your frequency. Complainers attract more problems. Creators attract more possibilities. It's not magic. It's physics. Energy expands where it's focused. You want more wealth. Then pour your energy into becoming more valuable, more disciplined, more daring. The transfer doesn't happen to the loudest. It happens to the most aligned. That's why the rich keep getting richer. Not because they're lucky, but because they understand flow. They keep their energy clean. They don't spend it blaming, arguing, or doubting. They spend it learning, deciding, and executing. They know that every excuse costs them something. Every delay, every doubt, every hesitation. It's a leak in the current. And when you stop those leaks, when your energy moves like a current with direction and purpose, wealth can't help but follow. Because it always has. It always will. Chaos rewards creators, not complainers. The world has never been fair. It's never been stable, predictable, or safe. It's always been chaos wearing a different outfit. The difference between those who rise and those who vanish isn't luck. It's response. Chaos doesn't destroy everyone. It only destroys those who freeze. The rest, the ones who adapt, create, build, they thrive in it. Because chaos, as messy as it looks, is the birthplace of opportunity. When everything falls apart, everything becomes available. You see, most people panic when the system shakes. They cling to comfort, waiting for someone to fix it, someone to tell them it's okay to move again. But creators don't wait for calm. They build inside the storm. They use the noise as rhythm, the uncertainty as inspiration. While everyone else is shouting, they're constructing something new from the ruins. That's the secret. Chaos doesn't choose favorites. It rewards the ones who use it. Complainers see problems. Creators see patterns. The complainer points at what's broken and says, "Look what they did." The creator looks at the same mess and says, "Look what I can do." It's not optimism, it's awareness. Chaos is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's simply raw material waiting for direction. Complainers waste that material by feeding fear. Creators shape it into something valuable. A new system, a new idea, a new way to live. When the world gets loud, complainers get louder. They gather in groups, repeating the same misery, convincing each other that there's no way out. But creators, they go quiet. They disappear into their work. They use chaos like clay, molding, adjusting, experimenting. They don't deny the madness, they dance with it. Because they know chaos is just order that hasn't been rewritten yet. And those who can handle disorder without losing their vision always come out ahead. Complaining feels good. It's instant relief, instant validation, but it changes nothing. It's a drug for the powerless. Creation, though, that's uncomfortable. It demands focus, effort, belief when everyone else has given up. That's why so few do it. But that's also why those few end up leading. The world never remembers the ones who complained about the storm. Only the ones who learned how to sail through it. Chaos is the great equalizer. It doesn't care who you are, how much money you have, what degree hangs on your wall. It levels the field. Suddenly, everyone's uncertain, everyone's guessing, everyone's exposed. That's when true creativity shines, when structure collapses. The complainer mourns what's gone, the creator builds what's next, and that's where power transfers. That's how new leaders, new thinkers, new empires are born. From those who stopped mourning normal and started defining new. There's a strange kind of beauty in chaos. It reveals who's real and who's rehearsed. Some people only know how to function when everything's easy. They need plans, comfort, stability. But chaos doesn't care about your plans. It tests your instinct, your courage, your ability to move when nothing is certain. That's where creators thrive, in the confusion that terrifies everyone else. Because creation requires tension. Without it, there's no innovation, no progress, no greatness. Complaining is rooted in control, the desire to make the world fit your preferences. But chaos doesn't bend. You either adjust to it, or you drown in it. That's why creators don't fight the storm, they use its force. They take the fear everyone's running from and turn it into fire. That's how new wealth, new art, new movements emerge, not from calm, but from collapse. You can always tell who's going to rise in chaos. They're the ones asking questions instead of assigning blame. They're curious, not cynical. While everyone else says, "Why now?" they're asking, "What can I make out of this?" That single shift in thinking separates those who crumble from those who create, because creation isn't about control, it's about transformation. And the funny part, chaos never really ends. It just changes shape. Once you understand that, you stop waiting for peace to begin your work. You stop depending on perfect conditions. You start realizing the world has always been broken. And that's exactly why there's always room to build. Complainers see that as hopeless. Creators see it as permission. The richest moments in history were born out of collapse. The greatest ideas, the strongest leaders, the most powerful innovations, all from chaos. Because chaos strips away comfort, and comfort breeds mediocrity. It exposes what's fragile and rewards what's adaptable. The ones who keep their heads, who keep creating, who refuse to drown in despair, they inherit what the complainers lose. So when everything's falling apart, remember, that's the moment wealth, power, and influence begin to shift. Not when things are calm, but when they're collapsing. Because chaos doesn't punish everyone equally. It punishes those who sit still, and it rewards those who move. The complainers will always find a reason to stay stuck, to wait for rescue, to blame the system. The creators don't wait for rescue. They become it. They don't survive the storm, they master it. Because chaos was never the enemy, it was the test. And only the ones who can build inside the storm deserve what comes after it. The system fears those who no longer play by its rules. It's built to keep you predictable, to make you believe that safety is obedience, that following the rules means you'll eventually win. But here's the truth: the system doesn't reward obedience. It rewards dependency. It feeds you just enough to keep you quiet, gives you glimpses of success so you'll chase it forever, always just out of reach. The moment you stop playing their game, the moment you stop needing their validation, that's when they panic. Because a person who no longer depends on the system can't be controlled. They designed it beautifully, you know. From the moment you're born, they train you to color inside the lines. School, work, approval, repeat. You're told to be patient, to wait your turn, to do what's expected. But what happens when you stop waiting? What happens when you realize there is no line, no turn, no permission slip for freedom? That's when everything starts to shake. The system's greatest weakness is exposure. It thrives on conformity, but it collapses under self-reliance. The moment you stop needing their stage, you start building your own. And that terrifies them more than any rebellion ever could. They want dreamers, but not doers. They love ambition, as long as it stays within the boundaries they built. The system teaches you how to dream small. A safe job, a steady income, a quiet life. But the world doesn't change through quiet lives. The world changes when someone dares to walk off the map. That's why they call it reckless, arrogant, unrealistic. They use those words to keep you in check, to make you question yourself before you ever take the first step. Because if you knew how powerful you actually were, their entire foundation would crumble overnight. Once you stop playing by their rules, you start to see how fake the game was. The promises of fairness, the illusion of equal opportunity. It's all designed to keep you hoping instead of acting. You realize that the ladder they told you to climb was never meant to reach the top. It just loops, one level disguised as progress. But those who break away from it, who build their own ladders, their own systems, they don't just win. They redefine what winning means. That's what makes the system nervous. It can't predict a free mind. You can see it in their reactions. The moment someone refuses to comply, the system labels them a threat. Not because they're dangerous, but because they're unpredictable. Control only works on those who seek approval. When you stop chasing validation, when you stop needing permission to exist loudly, you become something the system can't process. You're not in the formula anymore. You become chaos to them. And chaos is something they can't contain. They keep everyone busy, distracted, tired. That's how they win. They feed you entertainment, conflict, comparison, Anything to make you forget you're being programmed. And most people never wake up from it. They think they're free because they can choose the color of their cage. But those who wake up, they stop choosing cages altogether. They start building worlds, empires, movements. And the system starts whispering, that one's dangerous, because one awakened mind can inspire 1,000 more. The system's power isn't real, it's borrowed. It only exists because people believe in it. The rules, the hierarchies, the institutions, they function on obedience, not truth. That's why the moment someone questions them with clarity, not anger, the cracks start to show. The system depends on your fear of losing what it gave you. But when you realize it never gave you anything real, just control disguised as comfort, you stop fearing loss. And a person who no longer fears loss is the most powerful kind of person there is. They want you predictable because predictability can be monetized. They can sell you dreams, time, status, even rebellion, as long as it's the kind they approve of. But when you go silent, when you stop buying, stop seeking, stop reacting, they don't know what to do. You break the rhythm of their control. You stop being a product and become a presence. That's why they fear creators, thinkers, rebels, not because they're loud, but because they don't need permission to exist. You'll notice the shift the moment you stop playing by their rules. Doors that used to open easily will slam shut. People will distance themselves. The system will test your resolve, make you doubt, isolate you. It's not because you're wrong. It's because you're free. Freedom is uncomfortable to those who've sold theirs for convenience. They'll call you crazy for wanting more, for questioning what they've accepted. But that's how you know you're doing it right. When the system starts to whisper your name like a warning. They can't control what they can't predict. And that's why the system fears you when you think differently. It's not your rebellion they're scared of. It's your independence. They can handle anger, protest, noise. They have systems for that. What they can't handle is detachment. They can't handle someone who no longer plays. Because when you stop playing their game, you force them to face the truth. That the rules were never real, and the power they claimed was only an illusion. Silence is where real power shifts happen. Everyone wants to be seen, to be heard, to prove something. They rush to announce, to argue, to defend their every move. But the ones who truly hold power, they move quietly. They don't need applause to confirm their direction. They don't explain, they don't react, they just act. Because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. The loud ones reveal their plans, their fears, their insecurities. The silent ones let their results speak, and by the time people notice, it's already too late to stop them. There's something unsettling about silence, isn't there? People can't handle it. They fill every quiet space with noise, gossip, distraction, anything to avoid sitting with uncertainty. That's why silence scares them. It's unpredictable. It leaves them guessing. And that's where your power hides. In the confusion of others, in the space between their assumptions and your reality. While they're trying to figure you out, you're already 10 moves ahead. When you stop explaining yourself, people start to imagine. They create stories about your silence. Some flattering, some cruel, but none of it matters. Because while they talk, you're building. Every rumor, every opinion, every judgment is just noise meant to distract